Hello everyone. Good evening to everyone. So the session is just starting. We'll just wait to see if the audio is working or not. Just a minute. Yeah, it's working. So yesterday we started with the Vision July's economy part. So all have we done? Let's check once. We'll first revise what we all studied yesterday and the IR part a bit, not the polity part. And then we'll continue with economy and complete economy portion of July 2023 Vision magazine. So these all we did. Then IR we completed. In economy we completed up till online gaming. And now we'll continue the rest. What we'll do, we'll revise IR first and then we'll move on to economy. So in IR, what we did, why are we not starting with polity? Because we have already revised polity 3 times. We'll revise polity again in the next session. Now we'll just do IR once. India Sri Lanka, we saw that recently India and Sri Lanka released a statement titled Promoting Connectivity, Catalyzing Prosperity and India Sri Lanka Economic Partnership Vision. In that we saw that India actually not donated, but extended 4 billion US dollars to Sri Lanka with the help of IMF in 3 Fs: fuel, food, and fertilizer. Yes. Then we have renewable energy economic development projects in Trincomalee were signed. Both countries have passenger ferry services between Nagapattinam in Tamil Nadu and Kanken Santurai in Sri Lanka. Then India and Sri Lanka have already signed free trade agreement in 1998, and India is one of the largest trading partners of Sri Lanka with 5.45 billion US dollar of trade. And India is also one of the largest contributors of FDI to Sri Lanka. Agreements like Open Sky, Air Bubble arrangements, these all were between India and Sri Lanka to restore air connectivity. Then there is Sagar, security and growth for all in the region vision. Then there is Mitra Shakti, is a military exercise between India and Sri Lanka. Mitra Shakti. And then there is Slynex. Slynex is maritime naval exercise. Then we have Park Strait is here, Gulf of Mannar is here. We know all these cities. Karai, Karakalai, Karaikal, yes. In Tuticorin, Kanyakumari, and here is Gulf of Mannar, here is Park Strait. Here is Jaffna of Sri Lanka. Then we know Kachativu Islands. In 1974, India and Sri Lanka had an agreement in which Kachativu Islands were already given to Sri Lanka, but still news always comes through that area because Sri Lankan fleets always target Indian fishermen, which is a concern for India. Then Colombo and Hambantota ports, they are made by China and Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is part of the Maritime Silk Route policy. And there's also the Tamil question, that the issue of Tamil minority rights in Sri Lanka, in which India always advocates for national reconciliation through political settlement. Sri Lanka's constitution talks about 13th Amendment, which allows devolution of power to provinces, but it has not been implemented yet. Then India and France, Horizon 2047 framework. France is going to support the second phase of Indian program on sustainable Cities 2.0, co-financed by Germany and EU. Okay. Then we have Rafale and P-7 Scorpion, which is given by France to us. France is also the second largest defense exporter to India. We always have to remember that. If we're talking about second largest, who's the largest defense exporter to India? I think it should be Russia. Defense exporter country to India. But just let's check once. They say France is the largest. So it's between France and Russia. Okay, in 2020 it was France. Okay, then there is India's NPCI is International Payment Limited (NIPL) and France's Lyra Collect. So let me write India's NPCI International Payments Limited plus France's Lyra Collect are going to roll out UPI in France and Europe. UPI rollout in France and Europe. We have to remember this because we forgot to memorize it in the first go. Rollout in France and Europe. Then we have France has joined the BRI of China. Then France and India have collectively launched ISA, International Solar Alliance. France has always supported India's claim of permanent membership to UNSC and UN reforms. India's accession to Missile Technology Control Regime (MTCR), Wassenaar Agreement (WA) in Australia Group were due to France. Not France, but yeah, France contributed. India and France signed joint strategic vision of India-France cooperation in the Indian Ocean region. Then there is a trilateral grouping of France, India, and UAE, which talks about to ensure security from east coast of Africa to the Pacific. The neighborhood first policy. Then there's 5S: Samman, Samvad, Sanskriti, Shanti, and Samriddhi. 5 S's: Samvad, Samman, Samvad, Sanskriti, Shanti, and Samriddhi. Then India has energy diplomacy with Myanmar and Thailand. Okay, then there is TAPI, Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India to supply natural gas from Turkmenistan to all these countries, that is Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India. There's pipe connectivity. Then there's nuclear energy cooperation between India and US and India and Japan. And there's hydroelectric cooperation between Bhutan. They are Tala, Chukha, Kurichu, Magdechu hydroelectric power plants. And there is projects in Nepal known as Mahakali Treaty, Upper Karnali project, and Arun projects. Then India is going to invest $2 billion in solar energy by 2025. Yes. Okay. There's triple agenda of eliminate extreme poverty, contribute to global public goods, and boosting shared prosperity. MDV gave 222 billion dollars during 2008 financial crisis. We need $3 trillion per year by 2030 in emerging markets. Okay. In SCO, we know New Delhi Declaration is related to SCO. Iran is a new member. Secure is security, economic, connectivity, unity, respect for sovereignty, and environmental protection. And Kashi is the first town which has been declared as a cultural capital of SCO. Uranium is found in Kyrgyzstan. Yes, Black Sea grain deal, Russia withdrew. It is brokered by UN and Turkey. Ports are Chornomorsk. These ports are in Ukraine. Chornomorsk, Odessa, Yuzhny, or Pivnedy. Russia and Belarus are world's largest sources of mineral fertilizer, 14%. Then SAGE is South Asia Group for Energy, local currencies. IT abroad, the first is going to be Tanzania and the second is going to be in Abu Dhabi. UAE is the second largest export destination for India, and UAE is also the India's third largest trading partner. We have already signed Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement (CEPA) with UAE and India. So BIMSTEC Bangkok Declaration. Then there is CGRC. India has joined United Nations CGRC, which is Group of Global Crisis Response Group. And there is overseen by Champions Group, that is Bangladesh, Barbados, Denmark, Germany, Indonesia, and Senegal. Okay, then India is a founding member of Mission Innovation. United Kingdom has joined the treaty to join CPTPP, the first European member to do that. India has not joined it. European Sky Shield Initiative is joined by Austria and Switzerland. It was started by Germany last year after Russia invaded Ukraine. And there is Orkney Islands. Orkney Islands split from UK and became a self-governing territory in Norway. Okay. So we did third revision. Now let's do economies revision. We saw National Multidimensional Poverty Index (MPI). Niti Aayog releases India's MPI, the second edition of National MPI based on NFHS 5, that is National Family Health Survey 5. It is a follow-up. So Niti Aayog is the nodal agency for MPI. The method used is Alkire Foster method, that is AF. Dual cutoff counting method is used. Then a poverty cutoff is 33.33%. If a person comes below 33.33% on the MPI index, they are MPI poor, that is multidimensional poor. Now, what are the sub indices of national MPI? There are three. Basically, there are two, but there is a head count and then there is intensity. And MPI is calculated as the multiplication of head count H and intensity A. That is MPI equals to H into A. Head count ratio into intensity of poverty, and you get both the share of people in poverty and the degree to which they are deprived. This is important. Then there are 12 indicators of MPI. There are 12 benchmarks in which rating is given and those are calculated. In the global MPI, there are 10 indicators, but in national MPI, there are 12 because there is addition of two more, that is maternal health, and the second one is bank account. Yeah. So the two additional ones we have to remember, that is maternal health, and bank account. So there are three categories, just as in HDI, we have three categories in MPI as well. That is health, education, and standard of living. All three have been given equal weightage. Health 1 by 3, health, education 1 by 3, and standard of living 1 by 3. We'll start with health. There are three parts in health. There is nutrition 1 by 6. There is child and adolescent mortality 1 by 12. And there is maternal health 1 by 12. So that concludes your 1 by 3. What is in nutrition? That is a single mother who is undernourished. Sorry, single mother, no. A single member of the family, if he's or he or she or is undernourished, then they'll add. Then the body mass index of a woman is or a man is below 18.5 kg per meter square. And any child between the ages, sorry, any child between the ages of 0 to 59 months, 60 means 5 years. So below 5 years of age is found to be undernourished. They come under nutrition factors and they are considered deprived. Then there is child and adolescent mortality 1 by 12. Any child or adolescent under the age of 18 has died. Or then in maternal health, any woman who has given birth has not received at least 4 or antenatal care visits, that is after pregnancy natal visits. So that is nutrition 1 by 6, um, your child and adolescent mortality 1 by 12, and maternal health 1 by 12. Then comes education 1 by 3. There are two factors over here, both have been given equal weightage: years of schooling and school attendance. So years of schooling is 1 by 6. That is if the family will be known as a deprived one if not even one member of the household aged 10 years have completed 6 years of schooling, and in school attendance again 1 by 6 weightage. Any school aged child is not attending up to class 8, then it is deprived. Then standard of living has been given 1 by 3. There are 7 parameters, all given equal weightage of 1 by 21. There is cooking fuel, sanitation, drinking water, electricity, housing, assets, and bank account. So 7 are cooking fuel, sanitation, cooking fuel, sanitation, drinking water, electricity, housing, assets, and bank account. Let's repeat again. There are 7. There is cooking fuel, sanitation, water, electricity, housing, assets, and bank account. Okay, all have been given 1 by 21 weightage. So in cooking fuel, if a household cooks with dung, agricultural crops, shrubs, wood, charcoal, or coal. In sanitation, if the household has unimproved or no sanitation facility, or it is improved but shared with other households. Drinking water, if the household does not have access to improved drinking water or safe drinking water, or is at least 30 meters, 30-minute walk to and fro from home. Electricity, if they have no electricity. Housing, if they have inadequate housing, that is the floor is made up of natural materials or the roof or the wall is made of rudimentary materials. Assets, if they don't have any one of these: radio, TV, telephone, computer, animal car, bicycle, motorbike, refrigerator, and does not own a car or a truck. And bank account, if no household member has a bank account or a post office account. So all these are collectively added, and if the score is below 33.33%, then that family is MPI poor. Now we have to understand that in MPI, there is no provision of taking account of per capita income, literacy rate, or life expectancy. They were in HDI. Now let's see whether our video is working or not. Yeah, it's working. So we'll just Now we'll move on. These were the parameters. Now what we saw that MPI does not have any indicators related to life expectancy, literacy rate, or per capita income. Yeah. Now what are the highlights of the report? There has been decline in all aspects that we saw, but the important one is that MPI is now 0.066. That we have to understand. It came down from 0.117 to 0.066, and the poverty headcount has decreased from 24.85% to 14.96%. It's an achievement. All 12 indicators have saw significant reduction, and India is on the track to achieve SDG target 1.2, that is reducing multidimensional poverty by at least half, much ahead of 2030. And rural areas saw the fastest decline in poverty. And also Bihar saw the fastest reduction in MPI value in absolute terms. Now we'll move on. That we saw that, sorry for the pause, we saw that Bihar saw the fastest reduction in MPI value in absolute terms. Bihar, yeah. Now global MPI index released by UNDP and OPHI since 2010. MPI tracks deprivations in 10 indicators across 110 countries. Key findings are 1.1 billion 1.1 billion out of 6.6 billion people in 110 countries are multidimensional poor, and that is nearly two-thirds of all poor people. They live in middle income countries and not poor in low income countries. So low income countries have only 10% of MPI people, MPI poor people, while middle income countries have two-thirds, that is 60%, around 60% of MPI poor. That's a huge deal. Moving on, we saw a GST. They have celebrated GST Day, the sixth GST Day. On 1st July 2017, it came. The vision is GST at the rate 6, Sarlikrit Kar Samagra Vikas. That is simplified. The literal translation would be simplified tax, inclusive development. That's what it translates to. So we know that GST was rolled out on 1st July 2017. It is a unified tax system which replaced multiple indirect taxes. It was first proposed by Kelkar Task Force on indirect taxes in 2000. Then tax buoyancy increased from 0.72 to 1.22. What is tax buoyancy? It is the responsiveness of a tax revenue receipts to changes in national income. If it's greater than 1, it means revenues are growing at a faster rate than national income. So that's good. Then GST network is 100% government owned now. Okay, online gaming, we saw that GST has been implemented, 28% GST on online gaming, horse racing, and casinos. India is the largest fantasy sports market of 180 million people, and people FDI has been invested around $2.5 billion FDI in gaming industry. Online gaming is a state subject, so it's always a matter of contention. Center can invoke residuary powers under Article 248 to frame a model law. Widening tax base. Now we'll start from here. Let me just try today's date. We'll start from here. So widening tax base. Union Finance Minister recently asked the Income Tax Department to follow three broad principles of transparency, objectivity, and taxpayer friendliness to widen the tax base. So, what are the three? Transparency, objectivity, and taxpayer friendliness to widen the tax base. The concept of income tax was introduced in India in 1860 by James Wilson. So income tax 1860 by James Wilson, the first finance minister of the British Indian government. The tax was temporarily repealed between 1865 to 1886 and is continuing its existence till date. So income tax is the oldest tax which is still continuing in India. So what we saw that income tax was introduced in 1860 by James Wilson, the British Finance Minister of India. Okay. So what is the current scenario of taxation in India? Tax to GDP ratio is 11.1%. Tax to GDP is 11.1%. Direct taxes comes at 6% and indirect taxes 5.1%. So direct 6%, indirect tax 5.1%, all of them combined 11.1%. Lower than the emerging market economy average of 21% and OECD average of 34%. So it's low, extremely low. Our tax to GDP ratio is extremely low because emerging market economy has an average of 21% and OECD has an average of 34% and we only have 11.1%. So we need to, that's why our tax parency was increasing. We saw it has gone up from 1% to, it has gone up from 1%, it has gone up and the percentage is 1.22%. We really need to increase our tax to GDP ratio. It's really low. So our tax to GDP ratio is 11.1%. It's really low because emerging markets have approximately 21% and OECD economies have approximately 34%. Then filing of income tax return ITR is only 5.3% of the total population. It's horrible. Income tax, only 5.3% of population file for ITR, income tax returns. Year on year growth in net indirect tax collection, it is 17.67% at 16.61 lakh crore rupees. So they were talking about direct tax. Direct tax 16.61 lakh crore rupees. Now, what is the reason for low tax base? What is the reason for low tax? Reason for low tax base. I'll just see whether it's working or not. So we'll just see what are the reasons for low tax base. I'll just see whether the audio is working or not. Okay. So what are the reasons for low tax base? Presence of large informal sector. The transactions presence of large informal sector. The transactions in this sector are often routed through cash, making their tracking difficult. Then tax exemption for agriculture, which is primary income source for nearly 60% of Indians. Then high incidence of tax litigation, about 5 lakh cases pending in the country are because of tax litigation. Okay, 5 lakh cases pending due to tax litigation are due to tax litigation. Then lack of technical expertise and resources resulting in less effective tax administration. Now, what is tax to gross GDP ratio? Tax to gross GDP ratio. It is the ratio of the tax revenue, indirect and direct, of a country compared to the country's GDP. It is a useful measure of a country's capacity to generate tax revenues with respect to the size of the economy, decrease decrease sorry for the pause. Where were we? We were talking about tax to GDP ratio. It is the ratio of the tax revenue, direct and indirect tax, of a country is compared to the country's GDP. It is a useful measure of country's capacity to generate tax revenues with respect to the size of the economy. A decrease in tax to GDP ratio of a country may indicate a slowing economic growth rate. May indicate sorry for the long pause. I just had to close my gate. Well, let's continue. Yeah. So, a decrease in tax to GDP ratio of a country may indicate a slowing economic growth rate. Now, what are the steps taken by the government to widen the tax base? Transparency, objectivity, and taxpayer friendliness. We saw that. Transparency, we have cross seeding of PAN with bank accounts in Aadhaar, helping the government to track all formal transactions through banks. Then objectivity, introduction of a new data sources in the statement of financial transactions SFT, such as dividend, interest, etc. Introduction of new TDS codes from 36 to 65 codes resulted in increase in reported transactions. Then taxpayer friendliness, simplified personal income tax regime, e-appeal schemes to reduce pending appeals and streamline deposal process. This is very convenient. And rollout of common IT return form. Further measures to broaden the tax base are establishing a separate authority to settle tax disputes, can be actively reduced by establishing a separate authority. Inclusion of high income agriculture households. Yeah, they can divide agricultural households into low income households and high income households. But it will never happen because it's highly politically motivated. So it's highly probable that it won't happen. But yeah, we can always suggest. Farmers with large farm holdings can be covered under the ambit of income tax by setting a separate threshold limit regarding the land ownership or output. And inclusion of more technology. Data mining can be done to understand the exact level of tax evasion and how to fill the loopholes. Widening India's tax base will boost revenue, fairness, and economic stability in the country. It would further ease reliance on few taxpayers and enhance governance, promoting equitable growth and fiscal responsibility. Okay. Now the second one is Jan Vishwas, Amendment of Provisions Bill 2023. Recently, the Jan Vishwas Amendment of Provisions Bill 2023 was passed in Lok Sabha. The bill aims to give boost to ease of living and ease of doing business. Jan Vishwas aims to boost ease of living plus ease of doing business. Highlights: decriminalizes around 180 offences across 42 laws governing environment, agriculture, media, industry and trade, publication, etc. Converts several fines into penalties, implying that judicial prosecution is not necessary to administer punishment. Removes all offences and penalties under Indian Post Office Act 1898 and periodic revision, 10% increase in the minimum amount of every 3 years of fines and penalties of various offences in specified acts, changes in grievance redress and appellate mechanisms, and appointment of one or more adjudicating officers for determining penalties under acts such as Cinematograph 1952, Environment Protection Act 1986, Merchant Shipping Act 1958, etc. Okay. So it basically reduces the penalties, decriminalizes, and converts several fines into penalties. Now, how do laws and policies hamper the ease of doing business in India? Regulatory cholesterol. Okay. Multiple compliances, filing of reports, inspections of to oversee diverse parts of business. Example, a typical MSME with 150 employees face around 500 to 900 compliances yearly with significant financial cost. That's a huge burden. Then clauses of imprisonment. Almost 2 out of every 5 clauses on doing business in India carry imprisonment as penalties. That is around 26,134 imprisonment clauses under 843 economic legislations, rules and regulations that oversee and influence doing business in India. Lack of proportionality. Disproportionate selection of punishment vis-a-vis offences. Example, not publishing the name of the grievance officer and their contact details on their website under IT Act 2000 attracts punishment similar to punishment for sedition. Okay. Overlapping and cross-purpose law. Existence of multiple overlapping and cross-purpose laws leading to its legal ambiguities and suboptimal regulation. Example, overlap between jurisdictions of CCI and other sectoral regulatories like TRI, SEBI, ADI, etc. Then there is legal and policy unpredictability, frequent amendments in laws, retrospective taxation, etc. Example, frequent changes in GST rates on different goods and services, export bans on food products. This is the recent happening. So these are legal and policy unpredictability. Yes. Then there is administrative discretion and rent seeking. The creation of regulatory excesses lead to regulatory bottlenecks, resulting in administrative discretion and rent seeking activities by enforcement agencies. Now, how does the bill help? Rationalization of criminal provisions for minor technical or procedural defaults, establishing proportionality, balance between severity of offense violation and severity of prescribed punishment, ease of living. Decriminalization of provisions will help citizens and public servants live without fear of imprisonment for minor violations. Ease of doing business. Consolidated amendments in various laws with a common objective will save time and cost for both government and companies. Then there is decreased burden on the judiciary. Suitable administrative adjudication mechanism can help reduce undue pressure on the justice system and make the justice system more efficient. What is the way forward? Procedural safeguards. Informed policy formulation and decision making based on objective analysis. Informal instruments such as consultations, open house discussions, etc., can help address the democratic deficit in the institutional structure of delegated legislation. There is democratic deficit in institutional structure of delegated legislation. Then involve all independent sectoral regulators in compliance reforms in rationalizing criminality clauses like FSI, BIS, RBI, etc. Declaration of policy stances in advance by the government on the lines of monetary policy stances as declared by the Monetary Policy Committee from time to time. Then there is regulatory impact assessment. Constitute a regulatory impact assessment committee within this law commission to assess and evaluate the impact of laws. Define legal standards to provide a general indicative set of legal regulation standards including the principles of necessity and proportionality, sunset clauses inbuilt within the law to accommodate the ever evolving knowledge economy and technology space among modern businesses and entrepreneurs. It will also ensure administrative responsiveness and impact assessment at the end of a predetermined time. Okay, so now we'll do gig workers. Gig workers and gig economy. How many are left? One, two, and there's corporate debit market, mines and minerals, Manrega. Okay, a lot of them are there. We'll divide it. We'll do up till, let's see, gig workers and gig economy. The Standing Committee on Labor, Textiles and Skill Development has asked the Ministry of Labor and Employment to formulate and implement welfare schemes for gig workers in the country. Ministry of Labor and Employment. Also, the G20 Labor and Employment Ministers meet 2023 and concluded by adopting an outcome document on sustainable social protection for gig and platform workers. Rajasthan state government has pioneered in creating a welfare bill for the gig workers in the state by passing a platform based gig workers registration and welfare bill. So who has done that? Rajasthan government have passed a gig workers act. They already have it. Okay. Bill aims to create the Rajasthan platform based gig workers welfare board, which will have members from gig workers, aggregators, and civil servants. The state government is to maintain a database of the gig workers and generate a unique ID for every one of them. What is the data bank? It says that 77 lakh workers in India were engaged in the gig economy as per Niti Aayog. So 77 lakh gig workers. 47% of the gig workers are in medium skilled jobs, about 22% in high skilled, and 31% in low skilled. So maximum is in medium skilled jobs. 36% women participation. Eightfold increase in youth participation. So what is gig economy? Gig economy is a free market system in which temporary positions are common. An organization contract with independent workers for short-term engagements. Gig workers are those engaged in livelihood outside the traditional employer-employee arrangement. They are further classified as platform and not platform. And these working on software apps, digital platform, they are platform. and who are casual, waged, and own account workers in conventional sector engaged in part-time or full-time or non-platform workers. So, what is the reason for increase in the gig economy? Widespread access to the internet, rapid growth in the startup ecosystem, interoperability of the platforms, rising demand for contractual employees. What are the challenges in the gig economy? Job insecurity. Gig workers are typically engaged on a project or assignment basis rather than permanent employees. This can lead to financial instability and make it difficult for workers to plan for the future. Income instability. Gig workers face fluctuations in income due to irregular and unpredictable nature of gig work, lack of legal protection and social security. Gig workers are outsider labor laws and need access to social security benefits such as health insurance, retirement benefits, and paid leave. Unequal bargaining power. Gig workers need more bargaining power to negotiate fair compensation and working conditions, mainly when competing against a large pool of other workers on digital platforms. Payment issues. Delayed or non payment of wages is a significant issue for gig workers, and since they work in remote locations, it is difficult for them to reach out to their employers. Training and upskilling. Gig workers often have limited opportunities for upskilling and career advancement. Presently, about 47% of the gig work is in medium skilled jobs, 22% in high skilled, and 31% in low skilled jobs. I think we should remember this. 47% medium skilled jobs, 22% in high skilled jobs, and 31% in low skilled jobs. Then social stigma. Gig work is still viewed by some in India as a temporary or low paying option, resulting in social stigma and lack of recognition for their work. Now, what is the significance of gig economy? To consumers, they provide personalized services, saves time and money. The country creates employment, serves the need of various sectors, helps startups and boost economy. To the employees, provides flexibility, enables remote working, provides work-life balance. To employers, low-cost labor, low compliance cost, and diverse pool of labor. Now, what is the existing framework in India for the gig economy? Code on Wages 2019. Okay, then there's Code on Social Security 2020 and e-Shram portal. Code on Wages 2019. Code on Social Security 2020 and e-Shram portal. It provides universal minimum wage and floor wage across organized and unorganized sector, including gig workers. Code on Social Security, the Ministry of Labour and Employment recognizes gigging platform workers through this code. This code calls for framing suitable social security schemes for gig workers by central and state governments on matters relating to life and disability cover, accidental insurance, health and maternity benefits, old age protection, etc. E-Shram portal is to create a database of unorganized workers, including gig workers. What is the way forward? Recognition of gig workers under labor laws. The gig workers are to be treated at par with the contract laborers, and the company should provide them with recognition for the job done. Provide assured minimum earnings. Then provide them with social security covers. Implementation of Code of Social Security 2020, and providing access to finance. That is, institutional credit should be made accessible to platform workers and those interested in setting up their platforms on a priority basis. Okay, so we'll conclude now and we'll do the rest either late at night today itself or tomorrow morning. So stay tuned. We'll complete economy in the part third, and then we'll move on to the next part, which will be, I think, after economy we have social issues. Let me just check once. After economy we have security, okay, and then we have environment. So we'll do those. Thank you very much. We'll continue doing like this, revising the previous one and then going forward. Because if we don't revise and if we don't memorize, it's of no use. We just don't have to cover. It's not that they'll give us stars for job done. No, we have to memorize stuff also and we have to cover accordingly. So we'll go slowly and steadily, but memorizing each and every fact as far as possible. So thank you very much, and I'll see you later in the evening, at night, or tomorrow morning. Thank you.